Welcome to Art Exploration May Challenge Part 2, the tutorial section. We'll be creating a green geode agate inspired abstract painting in this tutorial. So I'm using the greens that I demonstrated in part 1 of the video. So if you haven't seen that, go back and check it out. I did a color study of the green colors. So we're going to use those greens to create an abstract piece that's inspired by geode or agate slice. And the key here are two things. One is the flowing lines. They need to be flowing and continuous. And the second key is texture. I want a lot of texture in this piece. So I started with a sap green, and I'm also using the Daniel Smith Oceanic that I shared with you, and a variety of colors. I'm creating flowing lines, and then some of the edges I'm softening, and sometimes I'm also blending the colors together. So I want to create a variety of size of lines. I want to create some blended color. I want to create some hard lines and some softer lines and some textured lines. So everything has to do with line and flow and texture. I'm creating texture in two ways in this piece. One is with water drops dropped into the wet paint, and the other is with salt. Now I'm using kosher salt. You could use table salt, you could use silk salt. Use the salt of your choice, but it will create a lovely texture in your painting. Another thing I'm doing is, after laying down that dark color of green, I decided to add in the duochrome oceanic as a metallic texture, and it really created an interesting effect. So the duochrome didn't move very much, but it created small blooms and just a little bit of golden glow there, and I just really thought it was very pretty. I decided to go with an analogous color scheme. As I've said, I'm kind of analogous kind of girl, and decided not to use the red violet in this piece. But you can use the colors that you choose. Use the colors that you like to go with green to make those colors really sing and pop. Here's a little tip for you. If you're using tape to mask off the border, be sure and dry it off every now and then if you have some paint building up on it. That way it doesn't cause blooms back into your painting. So another thing that you can do to make a cohesive painting is to repeat elements and techniques. So at this point in time, I decided that dark, which I really love with the duochrome oceanic in it, I wanted to repeat that around the painting so that I have a very cohesive and flowing painting. So I'm putting it in more spaces, and maybe I got a little carried away, maybe I didn't, I don't know, but I was having a lot of fun, and it felt very therapeutic to just drop in those little dabs of paint. So now it's time to let that first layer dry and see where we are. And what I noticed was that I had quite a few lines that were the same width, that were very similar, and so I wanted to add more variety. I switched brushes and went to a smaller brush, and I'm still making those wider lines. I don't know why, it was just the way it was working out, but I will continue to try and work on it and add some variety of line width as I go. Another thing that I decided was I wanted to add some darker colors in there. I love the deep dark green, but I felt it was so much contrast between the light colors that I wanted to darken up some of those colors. So I darkened up the blue, I darkened up some of the greens, and I like the effect. I think I may have gone a little overboard as I went. I was just having fun painting, so it's okay, because the point is to have fun. At least for me, the point is to have fun. And if I get something that I really love at the end, that's almost like it's a bonus. Of course, I always want to paint a nice painting, right? We all do. But at the same time, I try to keep my focus on the process of creating as opposed to looking for a specific end result. I created also some more texture on this layer by more salt. I also added dots with my brush with the paint, and I'm going to go in and add some gold as well. So I really enjoyed the painting process. As I said before, for some reason, just making dots with your paintbrush, it's just relaxing. It's that, maybe that repetitive thing, I don't know, but it's just relaxing and fun, and I love doing it. So I did a lot of that here. I also tried to get some dry brush effects, but this paper was not very good for that. So I needed a little bit more of a rough paper, this one is cold pressed, but it just doesn't have very much texture. So I needed more texture really to get nice dry brush effects. But I still, it still worked out okay. Now it's time to add that gold I was talking about. So I already had some accents of gold from the duochrome oceanic. So I just brought in my Gansai Tambi gold metallic watercolors and added that in. Some of it went into wet paint and some of it went into dry paint. And perfect, right? Some parts of my painting were dry and some parts were not. And I just love the texture it created by just dotting it on. Again, I'm doing those dots, but it was just a lot of fun and just created some edges and texture that I felt like the painting needed. Now we're going to let that dry and then we'll remove the tape, which is always so much fun. Everything is dry now, so I'm removing the salt. You can use a brush to do this. I'm just using my finger. And then I'm going to remove that tape. And the edges were just beautiful. I really love how this painting turned out. So thank you so much for joining me for this tutorial for our May color challenge of green. I will see you over in the Facebook group. I can hardly wait to see your projects. Bye.